Hello? Hi. Game live.
In 1982, the following tape aired during the children's programming block on. While the contents of the program itself were rather disturbing, no one could have imagined what it would do to some of the children who watched it. In light of this, naturally, viewer discretion is advised.
Hello. Why so sad? Why so sad?
As the tape begins, Andrew wakes up his friend Marcus and gleefully explains that the toy maker is in town.
Wake up, Marcus. Huh? Andrew, you interrupted my dream. I was dreaming about a man dressed in red with ice cream cones on his head. That's ridiculous, Marcus. You should be thinking about the perfect toy to ask the toy maker to make.
If you're a fan of Fnaf VHS, then you're probably already familiar with Baddington. Originally adapted from Squimpus McGrimpus's now classic series, Baddington's reimaginings of these tapes are widely regarded as the pinnacle of Fnaf VHS content. Entries like Sound Response Check, Pirate Cove Pre-Show, and Non-Existent Video contain some of the scariest FNAF content ever produced. However, Baddington has another series.
Get the girls and get as far as you can. Start running.
Andrew and Marcus head down the road to the toy store, hoping that the toy maker can produce the perfect toy for them.
Well, hello, children.
Me and my brother were wondering if you could make us the perfect toy.
Well, you see, children, the secret to any good selling toy is to make them lifelike. You see, my toys can blink, but they can't see. My toys can walk, but they can't dance.
No! No!
My toys can eat, but they can't taste. My toys can talk, but they can't sing.
Oh, you're scary.
Believe me, children, I've tried to make the perfect toy, but I can't do it all on my own.
As the toy maker laments that his creations just aren't lifelike enough, the children ask if there's anything they can do to assist him.
Is there anything we could do to help?
Why, yes, there is.
Well, what is it?
There are 3 main ingredients that I need, so you'll have to get them for me.
But we don't have any money.
Don't you want to be happy?
The first item he requests is needle and thread, which the boys are able to locate without too much trouble.
Oh, look, Marcus, a thread.
However, when they look in the bag, they find... Fortunately, they also find a needle, so they grab that and return to the toy maker.
We found the needle and thread.
Wonderful! Now you must find fabric and paint.
The children return with the paint, but the toy maker's next request is a little strange.
Now I just need a few more things.
Anything, Mr. Toy Maker.
The next thing I need is your dog.
What? What do you need him for?
The toy needs to be happy, and it can't be happy without a friend. Don't you want it to be happy?
Don't be square, Andrew. Just let him have Bonzo.
Yes, wonderful. Now come back later for the final step.
Mr. Toy Maker, we're back.
You're just in time, children.
Where's Bonzo?
Never mind that, children. Now come closer. The last thing I need from you two is your voice.
What do you mean?
I need you both to sing a song. The toy's just on the other side of this door. Now, repeat after me.
Warning, the following audio recording is an unauthorized release of private footage. For your safety, we ask that you please discard the tape immediately. If there is audio from the original footage, please cover your ears and close your eyes. As a last resort, we ask that you pray to God.
Splendid children! Do you have any idea what you've done for me, my children? You have done me well. Now come along, come along. It's just behind this door. I really do hope you enjoy it.
We see epitaphs of several of the broadcast's grisly victims. Amy Wilson only stopped screaming when her spine came out. Richard Smith experienced a seizure while watching the broadcast, and Nathan Barnes was found with his head facing backwards. As the Toymaker's lullaby rang out, a piece of hell began to overflow into our world. Despite Anthony and Marcus's diligent preparation, the Toymaker seems disappointed with the results.
Incredible, isn't it?
However, the children, having seen the abomination the Toymaker has created, are horrified.
What have you done to Bonzo?
No matter how much I perfect the equation, there always seems to be something wrong.
Well, we just wanted the perfect toy.
So did I. What did you two do?
What did you do? I have spent days perfecting this. Do you have any idea how many I've had to fool to try and try again, only to fail? You!
Me?
This is all your fault. You could have had the perfect toy. But you had to doubt me.
Please just let us go.
Oh, my dear boy. You are going to pay for what you've done. I am not going to let anyone let me down, including you. You.
An ominous figure emerges from the darkness.
No. No, please. I just need more time. You just need to give me more time.
Yeah, as you can see, that I'm watching actually Theft King, who actually made the best retrospective on Horn Harmony. It's actually quite good. But let me talk about something here. As you can see, the demon or the entity in this kind of tape or video, kind of like gives you this dark revival reminder, saying that it kind of looks just like the ink demon from both Bending the Ink Machine and the Dark Revival. But here's one thing that the demon doesn't have in common: color. The color that the demon can be is red instead of black. In both in the Horn Harmony series, the entity that looks like a demon or a goat gives off a weird vibe that's actually in red. When one of the boys told that when the boy was having a dream about a man dressed in red, it gave off kind of like a vibe that is just saying to me that the entity in this kind of series might be different from both Bending the Ink Machine, Dark Revival, and Sneaky Snack Bar as usual, because this one has bigger horns, if I can tell. As the child said that he had giant ice cream cones on his head. Yeah, let's keep going on this.
Please, this isn't what all I had planned. Please, no. You just need to give me more time. No.
In the wake of this broadcast and the resulting deaths, people were outraged. The police investigated the bizarre circumstances under which the healthy children had died, and naturally, their prime suspect was the film's creator, the toy maker, Martin Graywinder. Martin Graywinder and his wife Gloria always wanted a child, but it seemed like it just wasn't meant to be. Martin was sterile.
Maybe we can still adopt one. Yeah?
No, I can't go through with that. I can't go through with taking care of somebody else's kid. I can't. If it's not my blood, then I don't want it.
Also, Martin is kind of a dick. To make matters worse, when he and his brother Arthur founded Harmony Entertainment, their intention was to sell toys, but none of Martin's inventions were very successful. It seemed like things couldn't get much worse for the man when suddenly his wife came to him with incredible news.
Is this real? Are we? Am I gonna be a
A father! You're going to be a father!
This just can't be true. The doctor said I would never be able to bear a child.
They said your chances were little to none, and yet here we are! A child of your own blood.
This is a miracle. It's a miracle. This is fantastic.
Now desperate to make ends meet for their growing family, Martin and his brother began producing animated children's cartoons. These proved rather successful, and Martin would go on to father a total of 3 children with Gloria, their son Thomas, their eldest daughter Macy, and their youngest daughter Ava. While Arthur was content to produce animations, Martin still saw himself as a colossal failure. As he grew more and more desperate to create the perfect toy, he became fixated on one thing alone.
The secret to any good selling toy is to make them lifelike.
If we go back like one scene, but the toy maker actually says like the toy can be lifelike. This gives us a reference to Poppy Playtime, I think, that it gives us that the toy can be lifelike. Just like in Poppy Playtime, the toys are much more lifelike and much more monstrous because of the children, because of the orphans, I would say. Not children, what I'm trying to say is the orphans from within were experimented on, and then they were turned into monstrous toys. Like Poppy herself was a monster, Huggy Wuggy, and Pink Huggy Wuggy, I try to remember her name, and many other kinds of toys. Excluding the Barbie, okay? I'm not gonna get onto the Barbie stuff yet because it's still cringe. It's still cringe. It's just not possible to do that.
The secret to any good selling toy is to make them lifelike.
So the secret to a good selling toy is to make them lifelike, more monstrous than possessed. Just like in Horn of Harmony, just like in Poppy Playtime, toys can be also very monstrous, hunting those that are different. Let's keep going.
Sure enough, Martin would find a way to make his toys lifelike, but it would come at a terrible, terrible cost. That night, hell would unfold upon the Graywinder residence. The first toy that Martin creates is Fuzzy Buddy, a blue dog that can really talk.
Speech Buddy has a voice of its own!
I love you.
However, as you can probably guess, Fuzzy Buddy is no ordinary toy. Late one night, Martin is driving home when he tragically crashes his car into the family dog Bon.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm talking to myself. Myself. Yay. Sorry, guys, I had to eat dinner.
Bonzo, killing it. After putting one of his children to sleep, he spots a plush dog toy sitting on the dresser, and it gives him an idea.
Bonzo, stand. Attaboy, Bonzo.
Using the body of the family
So just to give you a reminder, tonight is Shabbat, so I'm at my dad's tonight, and yeah, and we'll be lighting the candles as soon as it's like kind of like later on, so I won't be live until after we have done the lighting of the candles. Then I'll be back on live. Okay? Continue.
family's dog, Martin has performed some sort of dark ritual to bring the toy to life, albeit as a horrific monstrosity. As he works, we can hear him angrily discuss his brother, Arthur, who seems to have upset him somehow.
Goddamn God, I hate him by his jaw. Let's see who's the fraud now. Bonzo, speak. Good boy.
Later that night, Martin's brother Arthur would hear a strange sound coming from one of the rooms upstairs. Arthur is horrified to discover Bonzo, and he confronts his brother.
I know what you did with the dog. What? The dog, Martin. I don't understand. You wouldn't get it from me, Martin. I told you to knock it off, but you did it anyway. Arthur, I think there's some sort of misunderstanding. Don't act stupid, Martin. The thing nearly killed me last night.
Arthur knows that something isn't quite right with his brother. He knows that it was him who created that bizarre cartoon that left 3 people dead. He knows about Martin's history with domestic abuse, and he's had enough. Fearful of his brother's growing insanity, Arthur insists on separating Martin from his family, at least until he gets his shit together.
I'm taking the kids. What? Lori and I will watch over them until you sort yourself out. Her, the kids, and I. We're leaving tomorrow morning. I know. I knew what was going on between you two.
It turns out that Gloria Greywinder hadn't been completely honest. Desperate for a child that Martin simply couldn't give her, she slept with his brother Arthur, rationalizing that the two are brothers and that the children would, in a sense, share blood with Martin.
If it's not my blood, then I don't want it.
Arthur would go on to father all of the Greywinder children, with Martin seemingly none the wiser. At least, until now. Arthur denies it, and the two have an argument.
Martin's not like that. No, it's fine. I fixed that little problem. What do you mean you? No. Oh, Mark. What have you done? First the dog wouldn't listen to me, then my wife. I think the only thing I've learned through all of this is that I'm not going to let anyone let me down, including you!
Enraged, Martin shoots and kills his brother, performing the same sort of rituals he did on Bonzo to bring life to the ice cream man. Martin was already in a fragile mental state, but upon recognizing that his children are not his own, he loses all grip on reality. Dark forces grab a hold of him as he forgoes the final remnants of his sanity. Things are about to get really upsetting, so here's some puppies. Sadly, the child would never. Martin puts his son Thomas to sleep. Sadly, the child would never wake up. Having sacrificed Arthur to bring life to the ice cream man, Martin deploys him upon Thomas and afterwards performs another horrific ritual, this time to bring life to the Henry doll, a singing dummy that can be pulled apart and put back together again.
Can you see my eyes? Come on, use your peepers to find the peepers. Do you see it? Where's it hiding? He's hiding. Hide. Are you scared?
We see another Harmony cartoon, this time of Henry singing.
Would you want to sing with me? Great. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
However, the video cuts, and when it returns, the puppet's eyes are missing, which it seems to acknowledge.
Oh, hi. Sure is dark out.
When Henry returns again, his speech is completely absent, replaced by an awful buzzing noise. After the jump scare, we see Henry has been dismembered, a red figure standing atop his head. In the next scene, we hear a monologue from what appears to be the spirit of Thomas, now trapped within the Henry toy. It turns out that the victims of Martin's dark practices find themselves in constant agony within their prisons, and we hear Thomas crying out for help.
There is something inside of me, something that beats like it wants to get.
With Arthur in the Ice Cream Man and Thomas now in Henry, Martin continues to descend into madness. He puts his daughter Macy to bed. When Gloria gets a call indicating that Thomas never made it to school that day, she goes to confront her husband.
Martin, there you are. You told me you took Thomas to school, but here I am, getting a call from the school saying that Thomas wasn't there today. Are you listening to me?
You know, Arthur demoted me. That broadcast incident really sent him over the edge.
Honey, I understand how much that upsets you, but are you listening to me? What does it have to do with Thomas? Where is he? Where is our son?
Our son?
What has gotten into you?
How long did you think it would take for me to find out? Or did you think that I wouldn't find out at all?
Martin, I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't you lie to me!
I already called Arthur to take us away from here because you have been out of control.
And where are you gonna go? He's already gone. He left without you. He left without the kids.
No. No, what did you do to him? Where's my son? Where is my boy? Where is he, Martin?
You have 30 seconds to get the girls and get as far as you can. Start running.
Oh God.
1.
Oh God, please no!
Having revealed that he knows the children aren't his, Gloria rushes to Macy's room to retrieve her. The two go to leave, but when they do, they find that their path has been blocked. Gloria hides Macy in a closet before turning to face her demonic husband.
Stay right there, don't come out.
Macy.
So it's actually going on in, like, as we keep on comparing it to the FNAF VHS tapes, Martin Greywonder is like our man behind the slaughter who killed his own family, becoming the clown in the family. Like, he first kills his brother, Arthur, first he does a roadkill on his dog, does a roadkill on his dog, then kills Arthur, then he kills his wife, Gloria, then he captures Macy and kills her as well, then Ava, and then they're all dead. They're all dead. They don't come back because they're not just like the Afton family, because the Afton family is different. They come back differently. Like, Elizabeth is Scrap Baby, or whatever she's called. And we have Cece/Evan/Chris as Golden Freddy. And Michael Afton and William Afton as Springtrap, or Burntrap, whatever he is in the future. But here's the truth. Martin doesn't really get a death of his own because he's still alive and in control and being controlled by something. Keep going.
If we reverse, as this scene plays, we hear some strange audio in the background, but if we reverse it, finally, everything has become clear. Wait, what? No, it hasn't. I still don't know what the f is going on. Oh, okay, fair enough. I've got you. Martin has communed with a demon, perhaps the devil himself. Using the flesh of his victims, Martin performs a satanic ritual that brings his toys to life, though in horrific, demonic forms. First, he experimented with Bonzo, the family dog. When Martin's brother Arthur confronted him, Martin killed him and used him to bring life to the ice cream man. Upon learning that his children weren't really his, he did the same thing to his son Thomas, this time transposing his soul into the Henry doll.
My daddy loves me.
While the victims are trapped in these respective characters, they're apparently helpless to resist the commands of Martin, following his orders and assisting him with his grisly crimes. Martin's daughter Macy experiences a similar fate. She's used to create Sophia, the singing marionette. Unfortunately, there was one more illegitimate child of Arthur Greywinder, Ava, the infant. Martin commands Bonzo to do the grisly deed, but when the dog thing enters the room and approaches the crib, he seems to hesitate.
I don't know you that well, but I know you feed me treats. You pet me. You loved me, Ava. I'm so sorry, little one.
Bonzo has been commanded to perform this horrific act, but he doesn't want to. The spirit of the family's loyal dog is resisting, fighting back against the demonic influence. Even amidst the devil's control, a part of Bonzo remembers that he's supposed to protect Ava, not hurt her. It is at this moment that the viewer is given an incredibly difficult choice. How are we gonna do this? Oh, I have an idea. If you don't want Bonzo to kill the innocent baby, like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you do want Bonzo to kill baby Ava, then... Alright, come on, if enough of you guys like and subscribe right now, then we won't kill the baby. Well, if you're not gonna do it, then I guess you just want the baby to die, right? Fine, okay. Bonzo stands motionless before Ava's crib as Martin appears in clown form. Alas, in spite of Bonzo's reluctance, Martin ensures that the awful deed is done.
What have you done to Bonzo?
No matter how much I perfect the equation, there always seems to be something wrong.
Well, we just wanted the perfect toy.
So did I. What did you two do? What did you do?
When none of the Greywinders are seen around town for a while, police naturally become suspicious, especially considering the broadcast incident, as well as Martin's past history with domestic abuse. However, when the cops arrive, they find the severed limbs and empty skins of the Greywinders, though they clarify that the rest of them seem to have gone missing. This is the moment in the series that things really start to spiral out of control and hell fully breaks loose. It seems that despite murdering his entire family, Martin was unable to fulfill his end of whatever pact he had made with this demon, and as a result, it takes his soul. Martin has turned the entire Greywinder family into toys, save for his wife Gloria, who persists only as a ghastly specter of his misdeeds. When the police arrive at the Greywinder residence, they find the house oddly quiet. One checks the upstairs while the other investigates the basement, but at first it seems like nobody is there.
Mr. Greywinder, you are under arrest. Hello? Is anyone in here?
The spirits of baby Ava and Bonzo seem to merge in this very abstract, surreal scene. The police officer encounters a new toy, this one an amalgamation of the tragedy mask that represents Ava and Bonzo. It turns out that the two joining together wasn't just metaphorical or figurative, they've literally become a single entity.
Jeremy?
No! Jameson!
I'm coming, baby! I'm coming, where are you? Freeze! Stop right there and put your hands in the air! I said freeze! No!
A young boy rests at home on Christmas Eve. Having asked for the new Henry doll, he excitedly decides to stay awake and wait for Santa. Sure enough, later that night, he hears a crash on the roof.
He's here. I heard him on the roof. I can't believe it.
The child goes to snap a photo, but the creature turns and it becomes clear that it isn't Santa. It's Patrick from SpongeBob.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No, this is Patrick.
Patrick chases the child through the hallway and into his bedroom closet, and just before it spots him, we see the silhouette of a Henry doll run inside with him. I made a new friend today. He's really big and pink. He's a little scary, but also really shy. I'm going to take a picture of him to show mommy and daddy when they get back. The child goes to snap a photo of Patrick when... In reliving memories, we see that somehow Arthur Greywinder has returned from the dead. Having apparently broken free of his brother's dark control while possessing the Ice Cream Man, Arthur received plastic surgery in order to appear more like his old self. He reveals the opening of the Harmony Arcadia, a massive mall-like complex featuring...
About Harmony Arcadia, it gives off, like, security breach vibes, because it reminds all of us that this kind of scene just gives off security breach vibes. If anyone used to play, like, security breach back in 2022. Anyone? Good. Let's keep going.
Featuring a state-of-the-art security system.
The world can be a dangerous place, and it can be hard to ensure the safety of our children. Not every guard dog is fit to guard, and the same can be said about you as a parent. That's why we put our trust in the hands of the Henry Security Puppet, here at the Harmony Arcadia. After all, we humans aren't bulletproof, but with the state-of-the-art Kevlar-infused resin-casted body shell, the Henry Security Puppet can stand against any firearm. As for long-range problems, Henry is equipped with extendable spring-like limbs. They can stretch up to 50 feet away. These high-tech puppets also come with a built-in criminal database, and with their concealed optical cameras, they'll be able to spot any potential threats before they enter the building. We've divided order, ensuring that no child breaks the rules. The next category is Trooper Henry. Trooper Henry is responsible for monitoring incriminating behavior from adults, making sure that all adults respect the rules.
I am no longer the only one to make it back home. Please, welcome back our brave miracles, the 8 missing individuals that were taken from us those 7 years ago. Home at last. You have no idea how hungry it makes me to see these beautiful people back in the arms of their brave families who came here today to retain what was stolen from them. We hope to see you here at Harmony Arcadia real soon.
Hello. You're scary.
In just a few days, Bond's Burgers will have its grand opening. Established by Bunny Smiles Incorporated, this high-tech burger joint aims to delight children everywhere with the Showstoppers, a unique cast of lovable, state-of-the-art performing animatronics. Bond the Bunny, Shaw the Sheep, Boozoo the Human, Ban the Other Bunny, and Billy the Clown. Clowns are a species, by the way.
Every time it's clowns, I feel like I'm gonna scream. Like last time we heard about like the clown in Horn Harmony and Siggy Snack Bar, but Walten Files is a downfall. It's a downfall to both Horn Harmony and Siggy Snack Bar, because if anyone used to watch like Sneaky Snack Bar, it's actually a good VHS series based on like many things, many different events, excluding the missing children's incidents. If anyone can remember, the Five Nights at Freddy's Missing Children, the 5 missing kids. There are actually more in Sneaky Snack Bar, because here is like the clue. Here's the hint: the cat was the one behind the children, but who was behind the family? That's our main question. We already know it's actually Jacob Campbell, but who else? Who decided to find this abandoned stuff in such a weird place? Well, the first character we are like as is Jonathan Wixerglad in the first few tapes or so, and then in the next few tapes or so we are Charlotte. Specifically Charlotte Campbell, but we haven't theorized the last name yet. You don't know who she is completely.
However, strange things started to happen. The restaurant's co-founder Jack Walton went missing. Locals reported hearing loud music playing in the dead of night. Staff members started to disappear. I'm going to tell you the story of broken people, beautiful people,
safety and pills.
In April of 2020, filmmaker Martin Walls released the Walten Files 1 Company Introduction Tape, a compilation of VHS tapes related to the tragic events surrounding the opening of Bond's Burgers and the now defunct Bunny Smiles Incorporated. The series begins with an instructional training tape for the restaurant's technical support staff, whose role is apparently to create a magical and fun experience at Bond's Burgers. We're treated to a musical number by the establishment's animatronics. They sing happy children's songs, but they're terrifying. I mean, look at them. Would you let your kids go anywhere near those monstrosities?
Sun has got his hat on and he's coming out today.
While the animatronics are creepy as hell, there's nothing overtly suspicious about the tape. Some little glitches here and there, but nothing out of the ordinary for a scratched up old VHS. The narrator explains that we've been given the role as a facility caretaker with obligations involving cleaning, robot maintenance, and repair. We're introduced to Bunny Smiles founders Jack Walten and Felix Kranken before the tape awkwardly cuts to an information panel detailing storage plans for the now decommissioned Bond's Burgers restaurant. Well, that was fast. Something really bad must have happened if this ambitious, expensive establishment was closed for good mere weeks after its grand opening. The panel explains that the decommissioned animatronics are to be stored in the K9 facility, a secure location situated deep in the middle of a forest. Why would they need to ship all the robots to a secret bunker hidden in the middle of the woods? That sounds really expensive. Why not just throw them in a closet or something? It's quite suspicious. Despite the failure of Bond's Burgers, Bunny Smiles Incorporated continued to operate, and 5 years later in 1979, they released the children's cartoon Bond's Super Sleepover. In it, an adorable version of Bond the Bunny invites Shah, Buzu, and Billy for a sleepover. Little Bond begins to go over his guest list when suddenly Bunny Smiles co-founder Jack Walton's face appears, and he's a very, handsome man. Just like you're all very handsome viewers once you hit the subscribe button. That's weird. Why would one of the company's co-founders show up in the middle of a cartoon like this? Bond prepares a movie for the group to watch, but when we see the box, it also has Jack Walton's face on it. Which isn't that surprising. With looks like his, he's probably a movie star or something, so. When the gang goes to actually watch the film, its contents are nothing more than the words, "Let me out of here," on a black screen. Next to the television, we can see a prescription bottle marked Sophie Walton on it, another very strange inclusion for a children's cartoon. After watching the gripping and emotional film, the crew heads to sleep in another adorable shot. However, Bond is awoken in the middle of the night by the sound of static. He gets up to check it out, only to find that the television has been turned on. A missing person poster for Jack Walton is present, with the titular character having been last seen on June 11th, 1974, just a few days before Bond's Burgers was set to open. We hear some strange noises, almost like Jack is trying to speak, and Bond finds a lighter on the ground. He retrieves it and struggles to light it when suddenly, Bond seems to turn into one of the restaurant's security guards named Sophie. Behind her stands a monstrous, realistic version of Bond with a massive hole torn in his chest. It would seem that a few days before Bond's Burgers was set to open, co-founder Jack Walton disappeared. Furthermore, his daughter Sophie Walton was an employee at the restaurant and was prescribed some form of medication. Midnight, October 10th. We witness dashcam footage and hear the voice of Bunny Smiles Inc. facility caretaker Brian Stells as he attempts to locate the K9 storage facility. The same facility the animatronics were brought to after Bond's Burgers closed. So this is the new caretaker for the old Bunny Smiles facility. I'm recording this because the company requires some type of archives for the work history, something like that. I honestly have no clue because I just started working here. I'm going there right now, but they gave me this weird location that's somewhere in this forest to work at, and I've been driving for 20 minutes and I can't find the place. After a bit more driving, Brian arrives at the destination, the K9 storage facility. Why the hell did they have to do this at night? Brian explains that the place hasn't been operational for years and that it would likely smell horrendous. Indeed, upon walking in, he almost chokes on the putrid air, but upon persisting, he finds what he's looking for. So I found this thing, and I think it might be good for the company's relocate project. It's seen better days, but the diagnostics control is right here, so we can see how Bond's doing. They test each limb, starting with the head and mouth before moving on to the arms. We cut to this strange shot of Bond's eyes slowly opening, indicating activation or rebirth. He's become alive again. The man flees from the bunker.
What was that thing?
We hear a loud chomp noise as the camera falls. We see Brian's mangled body shrouded in darkness. I can't feel anything. He thought I was her. Upon initially discovering Bond, Brian suggests the animatronic would be an ideal candidate for the relocate project. It seems that someone from Bunny Smiles Inc. wants to repair these animatronics and bring them back into service, which is strange because the earlier bulletin suggested that the animatronics were meant to be locked away for good. After being attacked by Bond, we can see that Brian's work uniform looks incredibly similar to that of Sophie Walton's. Considering Sophie is the only named female character so far, it stands to reason that "he thought I was her" refers to Bond mistaking Brian for Sophie. This whole situation is suspicious. Why would Bunny Smiles Inc. send Brian to K9 in the middle of the night? Why would they insist on him recording everything? Wouldn't he be able to just tell them after he came back? It almost looks like someone deliberately sent Brian there in the middle of the night, knowing it was dangerous and knowing that he would not come back. 2 months later, on June 28th of 2020, Martin would release the Walten Files 2 Relocate Project. The uploader, Anthony, claimed that like the first episode, these were a compilation of tapes related to the relocation project that Bunny Smiles Inc. underwent in 1978. They go on to explain that the company completely vanished 5 years later in '83, so it seems that whatever this relocate project was, it didn't end very well. We're treated to another lovely animated internal corporate training video. After 4 years of legal battles, the company has decided to execute their relocate project plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now present to you the Relocate Project. But before we go into details, we want to greet all the new Bunny Smiles employees.
With the company greeting out of the way,
Let's start analyzing the Relocate Project by checking what has happened ever since the closure of Bonds 4 years ago. As many of you might have known from previous tapes, our beloved entertainers were safely secured in St. Juana's storage facility some months after the restaurant's closure.
Wait a minute, was that Jack Walten driving the moving van?
Later on, a good amount of business opportunities appeared, such as books, merch, animated movies. We even got a TV show. That's when Felix Kranken had the brilliant idea of restore and reprogram the robots of Bond's Burgers with the purpose of relocating them in a new restaurant that would be opened in a not-so-distant future. A pretty smart plan, right? Making enough money to eventually reopen the Bond's Burgers restaurant is no doubt a brilliant idea. So let's give it up for Felix Kranken, a man with not only a giant brain, but also a giant heart.
It seems that after Jack Walten's disappearance, Felix took over the company. Not only that, he seems to be trying to rewrite history, having cropped Jack Walten out of the photo and declining to mention him entirely. However, Jack works his way into the tape regardless. Immediately after this scene, we see a cartoon of Jack staring silently at the camera. It's difficult to make out, but on the file cabinet, the words "Jack's still here" are barely legible. Next, we're shown a tape detailing the process of upgrading the animatronics post-relocate project. In addition to their prior functionality, the animatronics have been given the ability to blink. Wait a minute, if the animatronics couldn't blink up until now, how did Bond do this? After the eye test, we see a human face overlaid atop Banny's head, suggesting that either a human body is physically stuffed into the animatronic or that a human's consciousness is present within. We then cut to a scene of Banny's futile attempts to escape a room. A voice begins to echo.
The rabbit keeps trying to find a way out, or at least catch the owner's attention. The mighty rabbit must get out. The mighty rabbit needs to 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 get out. The rabbit is starving. The rabbit is starving. The rabbit is starving. Is starving. Is starving. Is starving. Is starving. Is starving. Is.
Finally, we're treated to yet another missing person poster, this time for a Susan Woodings, who disappeared on June 30th, 1974, just days after Bond's Burgers opened. The video seems to imply that Susan was stuffed into the Banny suit, yet somehow lived on. Trapped in the confines of her animatronic prison, Susan starved, writhing in agony, struggling desperately in a futile attempt to escape. Going by this logic, it's pretty safe to assume that Jack Walten's consciousness has somehow worked its way into Bond, but we technically don't know that for certain. Next is the updated 1978 Bunny Smiles technical support video. We're treated to some cool shots of the characters, animatronic endoskeletons, and even an arcade machine called Bunny Farm. Apparently, the company developed a video game, so they must be doing okay. This tape is specifically designed around the Relocate project and the associated canine facility. In the wake of their recent success, it seems that the company has thrown caution to the wind and is working diligently to reclaim and repurpose the old Bond's Burgers animatronics. Shaw the Sheep serves as our guide. Shaw goes over the required credentials and equipment. Your uniform, your ID card, a flashlight, food, that kind of stuff.
Check. You should turn on the light. Turn on the light. Turn on the light. Turn on.
Holy shit, Shaw, shut up. Sorry. The light turns on, and Shaw begins to give us a tour of the facility.
These are storage areas. The first door is used to save any kind of cleaning items and supplies. The second door is used to save any kind of prizes and merch. The third door is used to hide...
Wait, the third door is used to hide what? As the screen fades out, we see a shadowy silhouette standing in the middle of the room. Suddenly, Shaw starts speaking in reverse. Thankfully, I speak reverse, and I can translate.
Rosemary would go to the restaurant every night hoping that his beloved husband would reappear after being missing for weeks. But no response until one day she heard a voice saying, "I know where she is, Rosie," coming from the backstage.
Considering Jack Walton went missing shortly after the restaurant opened, it's safe to assume that Rosemary is his wife. Furthermore, it seems that someone or something lured her backstage.
Now let's move on to the next room.
Wait, let's not move on to the next room. This looks like a really important rope. Okay. Shaw returns to the prior room, but she seems confused. We've already been here. Things are different though. The Shaw poster is missing its eyes. The animated guide is crying, and the shadowy silhouette is blocking the doorway. As Shaw walks into the figure, the room distorts, and the poster's dead eyes cry a long stream of tears. Suddenly, she's back in the room. The poster now shows a human woman, Rosemary, Jack Walton's wife. Shaw seems confused.
Sophie, where am I?
Shaw begins to flicker, rapidly shifting between her sheep form and that of Rosemary. By the time the lady entered the backstage as the voice told her to, her missing husband wasn't there. Instead, she found a rabbit. Rosemary was distraught at her husband's sudden disappearance. She showed up at the restaurant night after night, hoping that he would return. One night, she hears a voice calling from backstage. "I know where he is, Rosie." She follows the sound through the corridors, only to encounter Bon backstage.
"Rose broken will fix you. You will beautiful. You will beautiful. You will beautiful."
He dismembers Rosemary's body and stuffs the limbs into the Shaw animatronic, embedding her consciousness within the robot. All the while, the same shadowy figure watches from the doorway.
When she woke up, she looked beautiful, but on the inside,
It felt like every single part of her body was bleeding out.
A third missing persons poster emerges from the darkness. Rosemary Walton, last seen July 19th, 1974. 3 missing people, 3 animatronics. I think we can tell where this is going. The final section of the Relocate project is camcorder footage obtained by 3 Bunny Smiles Inc. technicians who volunteered to spend 3 days at the K9 facility reprogramming the animatronics. The 3 arrive at the bunker during the day, thank heavens, and as they work to reprogram the robots, they gossip about the strange happenings at Bond's Burgers. The trip is relatively uneventful, though they find that they're unable to salvage much given the brief time that they were allotted. Ashley, one of the techs, remarks that it's weird how corporate gave them a seemingly useless key without ever explaining what it was for. That night, after the others have gone to sleep, Ashley takes the key deeper into the facility and finds the door that it goes to. The back doors, a previously inaccessible section of K9. Ashley is shocked by just how much of the facility was hidden behind this locked door. She starts peeking into random rooms. She finds some horrific unused animatronics and notes that they could potentially be useful for the Relocate project.
26 or 27, I think. As you can see here, there are some spare heads. Nothing I'm interested in, to be honest.
Her voice begins to quiver. Something is giving Ashley a really bad feeling, and she's starting to get scared. Eventually, she comes across Billy the Clown, a fully assembled animatronic that honestly seems like it's in pretty good shape. She finds a cassette tape dated June 11th, 1974, the same date Jack Walton went missing. It's simply labeled Discard. Ashley musters up the courage to approach Billy, who has a cassette player installed in his abdomen. She inserts the tape, and Billy activates as a happy birthday tune plays. It starts off somewhat normal before the tape skips and the following occurs.
Jack, Susan, Charles, Rosemary, Sophie.
Okay. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna be offline for a few minutes. I'm just gonna go light candles and I'll be right back. Sorry guys, I was offline for a bit, but now I'm online. Okay, don't worry, I'm here.
Ashley hears something approaching the room. She quickly shuts her flashlight and tries to steady her breathing. She hears the shuffling noise approach. She finally gets the courage to turn on her flashlight when we hear Ashley's screams echo out as an animated representation of her becomes bruised, bloodied, and beaten. For a single frame, the following text flickers onto the screen. They left the next day. They thought Ashley left early, but she was in the back doors, screaming as much as she could, but no one heard the screams. The following days, the caretakers would complain about an awful smell coming from the back doors. The company decided to shut down the facility, and the relocate project was unsuccessful. Ashley is still there, but she's not screaming anymore. She saw something she wasn't supposed to see, and now she's beautiful. She's beautiful. You should know the drill by now. Another victim, another possessed animatronic. In this case, it looks like Bunny Smiles technician Ashley Park's consciousness ended up trapped within Billy the Clown, another of Bond's grisly victims. Hidden throughout the Walten Files 2 are fragments of a YouTube URL that leads to the first secret video, Lucky You. This upload shows a slideshow of Bond's Burgers opening, the first birthday party, and the last shows prior to closing. We're shown that the restaurant was open for less than a month. The following October, the place was boarded up and the animatronics were moved to the canine storage facility in the middle of the woods. June 11th, 1974, the day Jack Walton disappeared. You must be so confused about what you saw. I made them beautiful. I don't know how. I didn't even mean to, but I did. They try to talk to us. They will be heard. This is their cry for help. Besides, they want us to know what happened that year, but we must be patient. Look, they are filled with life. They dance to the music. They laugh and sing along. They're perfect. They're beautiful. They will see you soon, Sophie. At the very beginning of the series, during the sleepover cartoon, we saw a prescription bottle labeled Sophie Walton next to the TV. Furthermore, we see what appears to be Sophie right after Bond lights the lighter. It would appear that Sophie Walton was working at Bond's Burgers and saw something that she wasn't supposed to, and it seems she was prescribed some sort of medication in the wake of this incident. We would learn more about Sophie in the series' third and final installment, Bunny Farm. Bunny Farm is a really interesting video because all indications seem to suggest that Martin Walls actually made a playable game inside ClickTeam Fusion, the same software Scott Cawthon used to make Five Nights at Freddy's. A single frame of the video shows what appears to be Martin's desktop with ClickTeam in the background. This is really interesting. It's like analog horror machinima. My guess is that Martin was able to control these characters with his keyboard and sort of puppeteered them around while recording in order to get some of these shots. Anyway, in the early 80s, Bunny Smiles Inc. was doing well enough that a video game was produced. It was never finished or released to the public, but a few test machines were distributed in order to collect footage and presumably refine the game. One machine was sent to a hotel, the same hotel in which Sophie Walton was living at the time. Sophie and her girlfriend Jenny, it's canon, play the game together. It's a buggy early build, but they seem to be having fun.
Dumbass.
Sophie manages to play the game, which is frankly just a bunch of nonsense involving a farm. It wouldn't be that suspicious, except for the fact that we know Sophie Walton worked at Bond's Burgers. Her father was the co-founder of Bunny Smiles Inc. She should know who these characters are. She should immediately recognize this game, but she doesn't. It's as if all memory of her past has been completely eliminated.
Thing is, the pills have been making me forget a lot of stuff from my teenage years and my childhood, and...
Ah, well, that explains it. Something happened to Sophie the night her father, Jack Walton, disappeared. And since then, she's been taking prescription drugs that have caused her to completely suppress those memories. This explains why Sophie doesn't recognize a video game based on a franchise she used to work at, a franchise her father created. Jenny leaves to go write a paper, and Sophie continues playing the game herself. Unfortunately, things quickly go awry. The glitches begin to get worse, and Sophie does notice them, but she presses onward. Finally, things come to a climax when this happens.
Christ. Never mind.
We see the faces of the victims embedded into the arcade game. Sophie tries to continue playing, but the game crashes right as she walks into a gray bunny rabbit. Confused, frustrated, and a little creeped out, Sophie decides to call it quits for the night. The next day, Sophie returns to play again, but when she launches the game, a warning pops up indicating that her save file has been corrupted or manipulated by a third party. Bullshit, no 1980s arcade game would use save files. Sophie ignores this and plays the game regardless. She checks one of the signs, and for a frame, we can see the following text. He promised to take care of the 2 kids that day. He told the parents everything was okay. It's sad that we can't really remember you, Sophie, but soon we'll be together, forever and ever. Rest in peace, the 2 lovely red children. Whoever this epitaph is for, both died on May 2nd, 1974, shortly before Bond's Burgers opened. They were 9 and 12 years old respectively. They were just children. Sophie doesn't notice the message, but as she continues to play, she gets the feeling that the game is trying to talk to her, like it's trying to tell her something. Suddenly, in the midst of her session, an audio log by technician Susan Woodings plays. As a reminder, Susan was the first victim of Bond, having been stuffed into Banny and starving within the confines of the circuits in metal. She expresses some concern regarding the events surrounding Bond's Burgers opening. Suddenly, Sophie is controlling an avatar of Susan Woodings within the Bunny Farm arcade game. The game's no longer set at the farm, it's taking place at Bond's Burgers. Sophie moves the Susan character throughout the backstage room and begins performing maintenance on Bond when... Well, I guess we know how Susan ended up in Banny. I am still alive, but I can't move. I'm having trouble breathing, and my stomach feels weird. Sophie must have nerves of steel, because even after that, she continues to play. She finds a series of notes that appear to have been written by Bunny Smile's co-founder Felix Kranken's wife. Apparently, Felix suffered from a drinking problem for a long time, and it eventually led to the collapse of his marriage. Sophie encounters glitches related to Charles, the final victim, who seems to be associated with Buzu the Ringmaster. We haven't really encountered either of these characters much yet, though. Next, Sophie encounters Shaw the Sheep, who is possessed by her mother, Rosemary Walten. In what is perhaps the most chilling moment in all of the Walten Files so far, Shaw's withered form appears. She takes on the face of Sophie's mother and addresses her directly.
Am I still beautiful to you, Sophie?
I know you.
Found you. We see the same "I know where he is, Rosie, follow me" line again. The night Rosemary went missing. Could this be what Sophie saw? Did she see an animatronic bunny possessed by her father dismember her mother, then stuff the body in a sheep robot, which Rosemary then went on to possess whilst writhing in eternal agony? Whoa. That's pretty fucked up. Next, we see a gray bear emerging from a well. It looks similar to the bear that caused the game to crash the night prior. Come one, come all, welcome to my magic fountain of memories. Sophie asks, who are you? They respond by drawing a picture of 2 stick figures. It almost looks like 2 children. The game glitches again and cuts to a photo of a house dated May 2nd, 1974. On the front steps, we see 2 red children, just like the ones mentioned in the epitaph from earlier. This isn't just any house though. Sophie recognizes it.
Holy shit. That's my old house?
Rocket the rabbit appears. By the way, that's the gray bunny's name, Rocket, and asks for Bond's help clearing the corn maze. However, he's cut off mid-sentence by a phone ringing. A recording of a phone call between Bond's Burgers founders Jack Walten and Felix Kranken plays. It's the night of the school dance, and Sophie's younger siblings Ed and Molly Walten want to attend. Unfortunately, their father Jack is unable to take them. He's too busy with work related to the upcoming Bond's Burgers opening. He calls his best friend and business partner Felix and asks if they could take Ed and Molly to the dance in his absence. Felix agrees, delighting Jack.
Thanks for bothering your lifesaver, Felix. It's nothing.
Little did Jack know, Felix would not be a lifesaver that night. We then witness the events of that evening. Ed and Molly prepare for the dance, with Molly desperately searching for her Rocket Rabbit doll. Sophie recognizes them too as she plays the arcade. It's her little brother and sister.
That's Ed and Molly.
The game glitches again, and suddenly Sophie is controlling Ed and Molly as they attend their school dance. When it's time to leave, they can't find Felix. They enter the drinking zone, where parents and chaperones are able to sit at a bar and pass the time. I've heard some people express skepticism that there would be a bar at a school function, but this was the 70s, guys. It's absolutely conceivable that a bar would be set up for the parents during a school event like this. Despite their young age, Ed and Molly seemed concerned that Felix was at the bar. They know that he shouldn't be drinking. It's okay, I'm just feeling a little dizzy. It's getting very late. Your parents must be worried. Let's go home. 9:53 p.m. Felix is driving home. Something seems to be agitating him. Perhaps the domestic troubles we know he's been experiencing. Ed and Molly continue to be apprehensive towards Felix, though they reassure him that everything will be alright.
Everything is gonna be okay.
Moments later, Felix flips the car. The arcade cuts to a game over screen that reads, "Oh no, you got the bad ending. You couldn't finish the barn tasks in time," before glitching out to read, "You crashed the car. You killed them." Felix awakens in the car, having miraculously avoided severe injury. He goes to check on Ed and Molly, only to find that both children sadly perished in the crash. Distraught and panicking, Felix carries their bodies to the nearby San Juanita woods and buries them there. He leaves their Rocket Rabbit toy atop the graves, which is a profoundly stupid idea because it makes it a lot more likely that someone will find the graves, but whatever. In the arcade game, a depiction of Rocket appears and begins to speak with Sophie. They didn't go home
that night. He buried them here. He was too scared, but they found a way out eventually.
We see the red souls of the two children emerge from the graves and embed themselves into the Rocket plushie. We cut back to Felix, who has just arrived home. He checks his answering machine, only to find that he has 20 missed calls. Someone has been calling him constantly. Sure enough, it's his best friend Jack, wanting to know where the hell his children are.
Felix, pick up the phone. It's been 3 hours since I told you to get Ed and Molly home. What happened to my children? If anything happened, Felix, you must tell me.
The game glitches out into a shot of Bond convulsing as a girl's distorted face flashes on screen. While Bunny Farm is officially the final episode of the Walten Files, a final unlisted hidden video was released alongside it, Guilty. The description of the video appears to be the obituary of Ed and Molly Walten, but I don't really understand that. Didn't Felix bury their bodies in the forest? How did anyone find them and know they were dead? Who wrote this obituary? Also, what did Felix think would happen? He'd just go back home expecting that no one in their community would ask any questions about where the two children last seen with him went? This is sort of implausible. While the rest of the Walten family would go on to be silenced in one way or another, this obituary makes it clear that people knew what happened that night and how the children died. So why did no one question the fact that Felix buried these children in the woods? Don't get me wrong, I love this plot point. I just wish Martin hadn't included evidence that Ed and Molly became public knowledge. It would make way more sense for them to have just gone missing like the rest of the family did. It's not a huge deal, but still. Guilty opens with generic audio recordings of Felix before cutting to one taken the night of the car accident. Felix is devastated. He acknowledges that he messed up badly, that he has a problem with alcohol, and that it's been a problem for as long as he can remember. As I said from the start, the Walten Files is the tale of people. It's not about some megalomaniac mad scientist serial killer who's stuffing children into robots for the purpose of building himself the ultimate body. It isn't about some purple man's grand scheme to take over the world or anything like that. It's about people and their horrific struggles amidst this horrifying supernatural scenario. We get to know these characters a little bit before they get stuffed, and that makes their subsequent appearances as animatronics all the more scary and impactful. The moment Shaw appears to Sophie on the arcade machine and asks, "Am I still beautiful to you, Sophie?" It's made way scarier when you consider the fact that that's her mother's voice, her mother's face saying that to her through an arcade machine. If that was just a generic animatronic, if that was just Toy Freddy saying that to a player character we know nothing about, it just wouldn't have the same impact. The Walten Files is one of my favorite YouTube series ever, and it actually means a lot to me. I have a lot of thoughts when it comes to analyzing or interpreting or solving the series, but I'm a little apprehensive to do so. The Walten Files community is very passionate, and they can be sort of intimidating, and because I relate so personally to the story, I worry that others might reject my interpretation or feel like I'm trying to suggest that it's canon or correct or something like that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to check out the Walten Files. I love content like this, and it's important that we support creators like Martin Walls who produce it.
Don't be scared, my little bunny. This is only the beginning. Safety and pills.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for watching along with me about Analog Fnaf, such as Walten Files and Horn Harmony. Very soon, we'll be taking a look at future ones such as Nicole VHS tapes, Sneaky Snack Bar, and little transfers as well. And we'll be also looking at explained videos and giving out theories. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!